Hi and welcome to part 2. So when we last met our hero Simba, he had caused every problem in what would otherwise have been a peaceful kingdom, and his father was about to chastise him for it. Now, I'm not a big fan of the gratuitous compliment, but it seems I must give one here. I didn't hate this scene. It is in fact the only scene in the film that made me neither ill nor annoyed. That's a gratuitous compliment because it did make me very confused. I didn't understand these two characters at all after this scene. I mean, if Simba loves and respects his father this much, why doesn't he ever listen to him? And if Mufasa is this good a parent and teacher, then how did Simba turn out to be such a little asshole in the first place? So after these two have a little bonding time, we then cut to a scene where the hyenas are upset about not killing the kid. This scene then rolls into the most pointless villain song I've ever heard in my life. The only thing we learn in this song is that Scar is using the hyenas to try to take over the Pride Lands. We know. That's what he just tried to do. So after this gratuitous scene, we then see Scar taking Simba to a rock in the middle of nowhere. Now to keep this brief, I'll just sum this up for you. Hyenas cause stampede, Simba gets caught up, father saves his life, Scar kills father, Simba very sad. This is in fact supposed to be one of the saddest moments in cinematic history, but I just didn't see it that way. I mean, it's a little kid who just lost a parent. That has a default setting of being generally sad. But since we don't like Simba, and we didn't know Mufasa very well, it's just really hard to care about this in any way except just generally. What follows this is the most underexplained moment in the entire film, and that's a big deal because it's also one of the most crucial points in the film. What in all fucking hell makes Simba think that this is his fault? It's not like he caused the stampede, and the only thing Scar says to him is, "The king is dead, and if it weren't for you, he'd still be alive." This implies that this is supposed to be Simba's fault because he was there and needed rescue. But the only reason he was there is because Scar put him there. Simba even offered to go with Scar to get his dad. Scar said no, just stay on this rock and practice your little roar. Even a grieving 8-year-old idiot should be able to figure out that, even by the logic of what was just said to him, this is Scar's fault. There is just no way to turn this around and make it out to be Simba's fault, and Simba has no reason to think it is his fault. The motivations Simba has for thinking that he was responsible for his dad's death aren't even bad. They barely even exist. If you're gonna give us a character later on who spends many of his adult years blaming himself for his father's death, you've got to give us a better motivation than, "I believe it's so, because I was there." This scene is the textbook definition of contrived. So anyway, Scar manages to dupe Simba, and then he exiles him from the kingdom. This is the only action taken in the film that can be interpreted in any way as good. Based on what we learned about Simba and how he planned to run this place, Scar probably just did the people of Pride Rock the biggest favor of their lives. So Scar goes back and tells the people that both Mufasa and Simba have been killed in the stampede, and since everyone in this film is either evil or a complete idiot, they all just take his word for it. Meanwhile, we find Simba roasting in the sun, and then we are introduced to Timon and Pumbaa. And here, I have to give credit where credit is due. Because as far as Disney villains go, these are two of the most evil, nasty, despicable, despisable Disney villains I've ever seen on screen. I mean, they make the Wicked Queen look like mother freaking to— Wait a minute! These are supposed to be good guys too? What is it that makes these writers think that horrible people make for good protagonists? First of all, they mince no words about the fact that the only reason they're helping this poor kid out is so that they can use him. And this never changes through the course of the film. When Simba is an adult lion and saves them from another adult lion, Timon greedily whispers in Pumbaa's ear, "See, I told you he'd come in handy, hehehe." Boy, what valiant, noble heroes we have in this film. Second of all, Timon and Pumbaa are just horrible people. They're lazy and proud of it, stupid and proud of it, selfish and proud of it, and what's more, They're assholes. We have a scene where Simba is telling them what he thinks of the origin of the stars, and they both just laugh at him like he's a piece of shit for even opening his mouth about the subject. These are our heroes, folks. These are our heroes. Third of all, they actually do something to this kid that's just as bad, if not worse, than what Scar did to him when he told him to run away. They convince him that if you've got problems, sweep them under the rug. You've got responsibilities? Shirk them. Ignore everything in your life and live like a lazy, stupid, selfish, greedy little bastard like we do. Turn your back on the world, they teach this kid. And they sum this horrible moral philosophy up in 2 words, Hakuna Matata, which loosely translated means, fuck it. And this awful moral philosophy, which no one should ever follow in their lives, is translated into an easy-to-remember children's song.
Hakuna Matata, what a wonderful phrase.
Yeah, what a wonderful phrase. Let me ask you a question, Lion King fans. If the only salvageable point to this film is that you shouldn't shirk your responsibilities and shouldn't sweep your problems under the rug, why does Hakuna Matata get its own song? Why is Hakuna Matata portrayed in a positive light in that song? Hakuna Matata, even by this own film's admission, is a bad thing. And these two are lazy, evil, greedy, selfish little vermin larvae who are actually guilty of corrupting a small child. And we're supposed to like them. And the only thing more unnerving than what has just been said is that people actually did like them. Now, for my part, I spent most of this film totally unaware that these were even supposed to be good guys. I thought they were going for something like the truants in Pinocchio. You know, the ones who convinced him that smoking and drinking were good things and almost got him turned into an ass. Anyway, so these 3 begin a long and unhealthy friendship, beginning what I like to fondly refer to as the Fellowship of the 3 Assholes. So then Simba grows up, and then we see that Wait. He grows up, and what's more, you give him all the personality of tepid pudding? You establish this kid as a little asshole, and then turn him into a vegetable without any justification for the move? It's not like he became this way because he realized he was an asshole and that was a bad thing. He is the way he is because someone put him in the wrong place at the wrong time. He didn't grow. He didn't change. He just rebooted. This character is the way he is for reasons totally unrelated to this character. If this character was going to be completely irrelevant to the last 2/3 of this film, why did we even need to watch the first third? Why didn't you just start the film right here? Sorry about that. I really hate this film. Meanwhile, back at Pride Rock, Scar is laying around with nothing to do. Meanwhile, back with Simba and his 2 supposed friends, they're laying around with nothing to do. Isn't this a pretty picture? We've got both the protagonist and the antagonist laying around, not doing anything. Oh, and am I upset at the fact that Scar is running this place badly? No, not really, because I'm not entirely convinced that Simba would have run this place any differently. We have a scene later on where people are telling Scar that he's condemned them to death and that he can't do that, and Scar responds, "I'm the king, I can do whatever I want." Gee, whose mouth could that just as easily have come out of? So it's 6-1, half a dozen to the other for me. Anyway, Simba lays his ass down in a field of grass because he's got nothing better to do in this film, and the grass travels to a monkey who throws it in a turtle shell, and from this, he learns not only that Simba is alive, but also exactly where he is and how to get there. That is one magic turtle shell. Okay, so how long has this movie been on? A little over a half hour? 45 minutes? Okay, you know what? There you go, Simba. There's a girlfriend. It's a love story now. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Unlike Aladdin and Jasmine, who fell in love because, although they were both on opposite sides of the social field, they could relate to each other about feeling trapped in their lives, or like Belle, who fell in love with the Beast because she saw the inner good in him, which made him see the inner good in himself and fall in love with her, Simba and Nala fall in love because they've had 3 seconds of screen time together. Because who wants to see a story about someone having to get the girl when you can just drop one on him?